and Nullis is not some kind of like bullshit, and not something that's gonna just annoy us. Kate and Jimbo, we wanna see a bit of football chat, not like the rest of the other football crap. Hey, we wanna get it with the realness. So, baby, Kate and Jimbo.
Welcome back, everyone, to Kate and Jimbo on this Thursday, the 26th of March. Hope everyone is well. It's been a while, not that long, but it feels like forever. And we've got a very special guest making his debut on the channel today, actually. We've got Mr. Billie T from Change for Tottenham. Billy, how are you doing?
And very good. Lovely to be talking to you guys. And yeah, feels good. A nice few days after the football and a lot to talk about, I guess. But yeah, how are you guys doing? Pleasure to be on with you guys.
Really good, thank you. Jimbo, how are you doing?
Yeah, welcome, Billy. Nice to have you on.
Lovely to meet you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken in chat. We've actually streamed together as until now. So you're very welcome, and big up to everyone who's in the chat as well. I can see Ellie, I can see Mama Flossie, Shemtan's here, Magic Spurs, Drula, Simon Hill. They're all in the chat, so big up to everyone in here. Billy, obviously, I've never really, or Jim and I have never really got that involved with protest groups or anything. How did Change for Tottenham come about, and who was it who sort of said, right, enough's enough, I want to set up a group and get something changed?
It started quite a long time ago. It was about five years ago, I think. And a couple of season ticket holders got together. My friend Lyndon, who's one of the founders, a guy called Mark, who's no longer a member of Change for Scotland, just because he moved out the country and Scotland and stuff like that. And then sort of got speaking to like-minded people. And obviously at the time, it was a lot to do with the board and the everything like that. And it's about a good 5-6 years ago when Poch was still here. And then a couple of years ago, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, he brought on some more season ticket holders, myself, a few other guys as well, to a team of about 5 or 6 people. And that's when Change for Tottenham really sort of kicked into gear, and we started doing a lot of stuff like not just protesting against the owners, but just trying to support fans and all kinds of things, ticketing and stuff like that, and lowering ticket prices and all that kind of stuff, and making links with other football groups. Like I've got speaking to Man City groups and stuff like that, and then yeah, it's been going ever since really. So it's essentially just a group of season ticket holders that started as an sort of dealing with the ownership, and it's sort of gradually evolved into hopefully just a platform for fans to come together. And the best thing about being involved in it is just being able to meet lots and lots of Spurs fans, season ticket holders, whether you're against whatever you're against, whatever you support, we're all Spurs fans at the end of the day. So a real good thing about it has been being able to meet loads and loads of Spurs fans, and yeah, and it's been a really pleasure to be involved with it.
Yeah, big up to Sean and Johnny, I'll say it now quickly, for sending everyone over from their channel, Pair of Legends. I completely forgot. So this is the menopause. It does it all the time. I completely forget what I was going to say. Oh, that was what I was going to say. Was there one moment where you thought, do you know what? I've had enough of this club. We've got to try and come together and do something to change it. Was there something that triggered you?
I think everyone has a different moment. I think for me, it was the Pochettino era, and what kind of happened since that. I think sacking Pochettino, back in Poch, was a big thing for me as well. And I always say this about, when people talk about protests and stuff like that and going against the owners and all that kind of thing. When we had Pochettino as manager and we were at Hart Lane, there weren't really any protests. There weren't really any fans that were unhappy. Like, it just felt like such a good era to be a part of. And everyone was just like, you just felt proud to be a Tottenham fan. And I think everything that's happened since then, and everything, the reason why the fan base is so split at the moment and why everyone is so rightly angry and frustrated, is because we're just trying to get about that feeling. All we want is that feeling of going to Tottenham again. And hi, Sally as well, legend, by the way. And we're just trying to recapture what we had in that era for me. And I didn't quite get to see like the 90s and stuff like that. I was just about born when we last won the FA Cup, so I didn't see any of that stuff. So for me, like the Pochettino era was like the first time that I felt really like, oh my God, this is incredible. Tottenham are absolutely incredible now. And I just kind of feel like to sack that guy at the first sign of trouble. And then obviously ever since then, we've sort of gradually declined in the league. Back then we were going for titles year after year after year under Pochettino. But for me, it was definitely not back in Pochettino and everything that sort of came since. And just shout out to him as well, great guy. And that for me is a big turning point. I know everyone has a different turning point. So I know my friends, you guys know Brian Dale, his was when it's at Brian Joe, Martin. I know that was a big turning point for a lot of people, but I know everyone has their different turning points.
Yeah, I think if I'm honest, the one time where I thought, do you know what, this is outrageous, was when they sacked Poch. To me, it was criminal. Not backing him and then sacking him was just, for me, absolutely criminal. But I mean, Jim, has there been a part? I know, like I said, we don't get involved in the protest, but has there been sort of something that triggered you where you went, do you know what, this ownership ain't got a clue?
Well, look, first of all, to say about Poch, the criminal thing about Poch was not backing him, not sacking him, right? Because I think that he needed to lead this club for his own good. He started to look ill, and you could see a difference in him, in his mannerism, the way he looked. So I think it was important. We all think the world of Poch. I think for his own good, it was good for him to go, but not backing him was absolute criminal. Kate, I've supported, how long I've supported Tottenham, 55 years. There's been times the club gets you down, but I think over the last, I would say, 10 years, you started to see a decline, and then with Poch, it started looking good again, and then it just declined massively after that. But the way the club is run now, for me, it's just an absolute joke. It's just, for me, I cannot believe how this club has fallen. Last season, okay, we were 17th, but we was well clear of the of going down, and we won a trophy. But it still wasn't good last year, was it? Let's be honest. The football, in the Premier League, and he said that he was resting players. But this season, it's been, I've never seen nothing like it in 55 years of this club, and I've seen a lot of this club. But this year, for me, it's just unbelievable how we've gone backwards.
It's not just the players, is it, though? It's the change in the management, the fact we've got Vinay and Lang sort of now. I mean, Billy, would you Levy out as well? Would you strongly sort of against Daniel Levy at the club?
Yeah, I definitely was, and I was, I still just think a lot of the sort of problem that is sort of a residue of his ownership and his sort of, the way that he sort of essentially, and you can tell, but for the way that since he's fired, they hired about 4 or 5 people to try and do his one job. I think he's had far too much involvement for, what is essentially a chairman. And I think the biggest problem under Enoch and the biggest problem under Levy is they haven't had enough smart football people making the decisions, and I think that's what's cost us. We haven't had a strong director of football for a while now. Vinay and Lang, I think, are 2 absolutely shocking hires from Daniel Levy. And I know some people are saying now, well, look what's happened since he's gone, but let's not forget that he hired those 2 people in the first place. So I don't think he can get away scot-free.
No.
What I would say about him is that he had some idea of what Tottenham was, which I appreciated, and he obviously, the stadium, I do appreciate what he's built there. My big worry now that we have all sort of new people coming in, some of them from Arsenal, so I just worry that we've lost our identity a little bit. I worry that there's people, there's people on the board at the moment. I mean, we're essentially being run at the moment by Joe Lewis's, grandson-in-law, and I don't know really knows who he is. Vinay is an Arsenal, comes from Arsenal CEO. Langer is just massively incompetent. So I just worry that all these people running us at the moment not really have any Tottenham identity, and we've sort of lost our identity as a result. We don't have a Tottenham player in the first 11 at the moment. We don't have a Tottenham coach after Matt Wells is gone. We're slow. The thing which I know we're going to talk about later on, and which is why for me Sunday was so important, and will be going forward. Tottenham's everything to us fans, and you saw that on Sunday, and you see it in the fans. Like the connectivity that can bring to all of us is so important. And when we had under Pochettino, and Pochettino is not from Tottenham, no, you're right, but he embodied Tottenham as a manager, and probably why his name comes up in every single conversation since. Is that we just felt so connected to him. And Ange was a bit like that in some ways. And I know Ange has had a good connectivity with the fans also. But I just think we're desperate to feel something at the moment as a fan base, and which is why he probably will always be linked to him by the time he goes. But my big worry is now that there's just no one Tottenham left at the football club at the moment, and we're sort of being ran by all these guys that not only are incompetent, but they just don't seem to have any clue what Tottenham really is, and that's a big worry for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you're right. I think we all want that connection back. We all feel disconnected. And go on, Jim. Sorry.
It's a massive problem. Massive. We've got a reject from Villa, right? And we've got a Gooner.
Yeah.
These two are running our club. I mean, my best mate's a Villa fan, and he laughed when we took Lang. He said, "Oh my God, you're going to see how bad this guy is." He said he nearly ruined our club. I mean, why would they employ these people? Why? What person sat there and thought, "I'm going to employ these two people"? A Gooner. I mean, it's just.
And people don't realise.
I cannot get my head around it.
I mean, even mate. And people don't realise about Langer as well. Before he was actually sacked by that, he was demoted before that as well. He was actually demoted before he got sacked. So he was demoted and then sacked and replaced by someone else. And then we hired him. Like, what? I just don't understand the thinking process there at all. And now I read somewhere the other day that we've given him 700 million. He spent 700 million since he's been here. You just think, that's such a monumental amount of money, and like our squad is in such a bad shape. It's will end up killing us at this rate, you know. Like, if we do get relegated, and heaven forbid we don't, then Lang will be a big part of the reason why that's happened, I think.
Yeah. Going on to Sunday, because it's something that I think every YouTube channel since Sunday has spoken about. And obviously, I want to say, first of all, the narrative would be very different had we won the game, but we didn't win the game. But whose idea was it to do sort of the showing of support on Sunday? Was it a joint change for Tottenham, or was it a load of fan groups? I'm not sure the answer. So
yeah, I'll just take you through the brief history of it. So it's actually not specifically to do with change for Tottenham. There's a guy called Stu, a friend of mine, really good guy, really great guy, who put a video out on TikTok talking about it, and the idea sort of comes from Everton fans essentially and what they did in, I think, the 21-22 season when Everton were in the relegation battle. And there's a few of their players that said that, you know, their fans turned up, really spurred them on and really inspired them to stay up that year. And obviously the funny thing about that is Richarlison was up front for them back then, and obviously he's up front for us now. So the idea kind of came from them. And what happened is after the Crystal Palace game, when there's those videos that would go and do traction on social media of all the Spurs fans leaving at halftime. And then the Everton fan quoted that saying, "Oh, this is what we did when we were relegated. Maybe Spurs fans should do the same." So a friend of mine, Stu, got involved and said, "Well, maybe we should do this." And then just got into a couple of us, and then there's about 5, 6, 7 guys that got involved, and you know, the response was really, really good. I mean, people like Change for Tottenham backed it, and Trust backed it, and all these different fan groups came together and supported it and stuff. And you know, the idea is essentially just to try and really drag these players over the line. And obviously, didn't have the intended effect on Sunday in terms of the result. But you know, I don't know anyone. You know, I could only speak from my own personal experience of it. But for me, seeing that amount of people there on Sunday was a really, really special experience. And I know that it's easy in hindsight to say, well, this, and this, and, you know, it didn't work or whatever. But I think what it did show is that Tottenham fans are just an incredible fan base, you know, and we just want to support our team, and that's all we want to do. And when the protests and all this kind of stuff that we do, all we really want is a team that we're proud of, and the team to give us that sense of belonging. But at the moment, they're not doing it, and the owners have lost that. So at the moment, it's down to fans to do it themselves, and that's all Sunday was. It's fans thinking, right, well, it doesn't look like the owners are going to keep us up. It doesn't look like the players are going to do anything. So let's see if fans can do something at least. And I think you saw in the numbers there on Sunday that the fans just want to take responsibility for this at the moment and try and do something. And you know, a lot of people, it's easy, again, because of the result, losing 3-0 and all that kind of thing, it's easy to, in hindsight, say, well, what happens now? But as I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute, I don't think we can give up as a fan base, because it seems like everyone else has given up on us. And I think Tottenham fans, we are the only ones that can't give up at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Drew just says after all the support from the fans, and it was incredible. We did a pre-match pump up on We Are Tottenham TV, and we were streaming it from Ben's phone showing it. And I was so proud to see that many people out. I don't care if people think that's pathetic and happy clapperish. For me, I thought that's what it's all about. Because when you become a fan of a football club, to me, you join a family, and it is a massive family. And it was the one time that everyone should come together. And yet, somehow or another, it's caused even more divide. But anyway, moving on from that. Jula says, after all the support from the fans, did you feel the players appreciated it? As to me, it felt like they didn't give a damn.
It's a really good question, and obviously you have to ask the players in general. But I know obviously there's been a bit of talk about, well, no, they haven't posted any videos or anything like that, and I think the result obviously played a part in that. And we won't truly know what happens in terms of how the players feel about it, I suspect, until the season's over. I know, we had very positive interview after with the manager, well, the assistant manager, Bruno, I forget his surname, the guy that was stepped in for Tudor, obviously, after, Tudor had a personal event. And he said, in the interview, he said it was one of the best things he's experienced in 25 years of football. So I know that, the manager came out and said that after the game. Romero mentioned it after the game. The response from the club has been really positive as well. But, it kind of all means nothing unless they do it on the pitch. And I think the overarching problem that we have now at Tottenham, and this is why, I think we're at a stage now where it doesn't really matter who the manager is now. I think Judah will probably be sacked in the next couple of days, and I wish him well on after his personal news and everything like that. But I just kind of feel like the only people that are going to get Tottenham out of this mess now is the players. So they've seen that the fans are behind them now. They've seen that, they've got rid of Thomas. Thomas Frank's gone. Tudor's probably going to be gone as well. The only people that can get us out of this mess now is the players. So it almost nothing else really matters anymore. Do you know what I mean? But whether they I think in terms of the performance, I think the first half was okay for them. So that I was expecting them to come out of the blocks a little bit more, I have to say. But it just kind of feels like this group of players, it's really on them now. It's just on them for the 7 games. So and obviously we still have 3 home games left, and I know people are going to ask, is the plan to do it for those 3 home games yet? Which I'm not in a position to confirm at the moment, but I think the overall sense is we can't give up on these guys. We give up them. What does that say about us as fans as well? But whether they appreciate it or not, or whether whatever happens with players, I think it just comes down to the fact now that they're the only people that can get us out of this mess now. Like, I don't think a new manager coming in with 7 games to go is going to make change that much at this point. Like, what can they really do? So I think everything just comes down to those players now, and what happens in those 7 games just comes down to those.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo, I'm going to come to you before I go to Billy. There's a couple of messages similar to this that says, all that parade did was raise your profile within the club and on social media. This wasn't about doing what's best for the fans. And Rain said it kind of nullified the parade after the Europa League. I don't see it like that in any way whatsoever.
Well, I'll answer that straight away. He doesn't need to raise his profile because most people know who Billy is anyway. So
yeah.
And I know. Anyone that knows me knows I hate having a profile. I'd rather stick anonymous, and that's why when Change to Tottenham started, all of our members were anonymous, and we got a lot of stick for that. So we're almost in a position where we can't win either way. But I never let that stuff get to me, and I just kind of feel I'm lucky. Personally, in the main thing is I don't think a big following means anything, to be honest. Just a load of numbers on a screen, is it? It doesn't really mean anything. I'm not more important than anyone else that I have a chat with or anything like that. But one thing I do try and do is use that following that I do have to try and promote, to try and help. I try and use it to do things. So if that's getting the owners out, or if it's promoting the bus thing, at least try and do that. And believe me when I say I could not care less about my profile and raising it and stuff like that. And I know that anyone that knows me will hopefully agree with that fact, because trust me, that's why on my Twitter picture I've had an emoji covering my face for the last 15 years. If I could avoid it, I would, trust me.
Yeah, I can believe it. I can believe it. And the thing is, I think it's people are kind of trying everything to twist it and put it into a negative spin. And I don't understand it, whether it's because I'm that bit older or just my mindset. I just find it incredible. But were you shocked by how many people actually turned out? Because there was thousands there.
Yeah, and I know everything that you do in life gets some stick online, and I've always been able to take that. And when you put yourself in these positions where you try and make things happen, you're always going to get stick from people. But I think anyone reading that stick, anyone producing that stick, is just has to think about this: is that there's 20,000 plus Spurs fans there on Sunday. And to me, that's all that really matters. It doesn't really matter what a couple of people say online or what a couple of people, and I'm not telling anyone how to feel or anyone that they can just, any feeling is valid with what you think about anything to do with Sunday. But, try telling those 20,000 people, that they weren't true fans or something like that. And to me, even with trade for Tottenham, we haven't had any numbers that got anywhere near that. And I think that really shows the essence of what Tottenham being a fan is at the moment, that most people at the moment in this current situation that we're in, and for most of us, I know some people would have experienced it in the 70s, but a lot of the people there, and there were a lot of kids there, a lot of families, people would have never really experienced a relegation fight before with Tottenham, and it's unthinkable that it's happening in our lifetime. 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were fighting for the title, and now we're in a relegation battle. We're in unprecedented times as a fan base, and people, we don't know how to react, we don't know what to do, because we've never experienced it. So I think what it did show Sunday is that a lot of fans, 20 plus thousand of them, they just want to try and support the team and make a difference. And I'll take any stick in the world if it means that for those 20,000 people, they'll just try and do something.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a great day, and everybody I've spoken to, I mean, people like Phil P, God bless him.
What a man! Can I just say, what a great man, by the way.
He is. You know what? He's a wonderful human being. We adore Phil P. But he is, it goes to all the protests. But at the same time, he said, "Why wouldn't I go to a show of support? One can be true as well as the other. Why did it have to be one or the other?" And that's what I don't understand. If you want to go to protest, fine. And if you want to go and show your support as well, I don't see why it's got to be one or the other. I mean, he loved it. And like I say, everyone, Shawnee, he had a great day. And why not? It's been a shit season. Life is really shit at times. And it was one time for everyone to get together and just say, we're behind you. And yes, it didn't go our way on the pitch, but I literally can't understand the negativity around it.
Yeah. And to be honest, anything that you do is going to get negativity in some way. That's just the internet for you. But I think, and my feelings about the owners are so strong, and I've never felt more that we have to get rid of these owners at Tottenham. I think Nick have really showed this season the fact that we're in this mess is a direct result of their poor decision making. As just saw Rain said on there, it's not that the transfers or this and that, it's just the football decisions are terrible. But that doesn't mean that we don't get behind our team. And I think anyone that was there on Sunday supporting the team, it doesn't mean that anyone's feelings against the ownership is valid as well. And my personal feeling is when all this is sorted out either way, and we either stay up or we don't, that's when it's time to hold the owners to account, I think, at the most of this. And I hope that when dust is settled, those 20 people will rise up against the ownership, because I truly believe in my heart at the moment that Tottenham are never going to progress to the football club we want to be with these owners. But at the moment, I just feel like Spurs fans are just desperate to try and get the team over the line and support the team. And you could see it in the atmosphere in the stadium as well. The atmosphere was really good. I was at the Crystal Palace game as well. I think even then the fans were trying to get behind the team. We just had such a miserable season as a match-going fan. We've experienced loss after loss after loss. But we're trying to do something as fans, and and that's it. You can see that what Gary says, on Sunday, but make no mistake about it. No, we're not giving up on this team, because if fans give up, then we've really got nothing left, haven't we? So exactly. I completely agree. I think you can both support the team and protest against the owners or hate the owners, and I don't cancel out each other or anything like that. So, but what I do think is that for me, Sunday just proved that Tottenham have one of the best fan groups in the world, and you kind of can, after everything miserable that we've been through the season, for 20 plus thousand to show up on Sunday on the high road after another, Premier League loss after loss after loss. I think the scenes that we created on Sunday were better than the ones Arsenal were creating for a cup final.
I agree.
And it just shows you that Tottenham fans can do that even after such misery and misery and misery. It just shows you how amazing our fans is.
Yeah, I'm going to get all the bad stuff out of the way first, because these are questions I want to ask you, even though I don't agree with most of what I'm asking you. But there's been suggestions that you worked with the club, and that's why they did the 2-for-1 deal. And also this theory going around at the minute that there was nobody on the bus. I mean, do you think people are doing that to kind of downplay what you achieved by getting that many people together?
Yeah, well, firstly, yeah, I personally didn't achieve anything. The only people that achieved something on Sunday was a Tottenham fan that turned up. That it was a Tottenham fan base that made that achievement. Nothing to do with anyone's personal opinion or personal gain or anything like that. In terms of working with the club, so the funny thing about that is, so I've obviously helped organise Change for Tottenham protests against the ownership, including one a couple of last season where what was essentially one of the big ones of the modern times anyway, against the ownership. And to have an event of that size, you have to work with the club to some degree. You can't just have thousands of people on the street outside the Tottenham Stadium without working with the club. It's impossible. So you have to work. So even for our protests, we work with the club in some ways, just in terms of like safety and stuff like that. And the only capacity we work with the club in terms of the bus thing was the same thing again, just safety, making sure that they know about it for safety reasons, making sure that the police are aware about it. The problem is people say, well, why are you working with the club in the first place? Why don't you just turn up? But the problem is if you do that, you're susceptible then to the police just shutting it down, and the police just having nothing to do and not allowing it and stuff like that. So you have to logically work with them in some ways. The 2-for-1 deal was certainly nothing to do with anything to do with us. We didn't work with them on any capacity other than just saying, can you tell us what time the bus gets there, and we'll make sure the fans are there. That's the only capacity we worked with the club. And they said, well, we'll put some barriers up for you just to make sure it's safe. So the only capacity we ever worked with the club. And the funny thing is, we work with the club and protest against the club. We still have to do it in some ways. So that's the capacity that happens. So we did work with the club in terms of safety. That's it. Same with any protest, same with anything. In terms of the player thing, I can't say how, but we have had evidence that the players were on that bus. That's just a conspiracy theory that's not true. Maybe I think the club rejected posting it just because of the loss. Hopefully they will one day, but we've been sent things from the players directly, which is nice. We've spoken to the press officer. I mean, you can even look at the press conference afterwards where the manager's talking about being on there, Romero's talking about being on there. We've been sent videos on there. They just haven't written them publicly because I think they were reluctant to after all. So that's just complete fabrication, to be honest. And Mark can say that's completely made up. But
this is what I said. The players were on a bit of a lose-lose there, because had they shared the pictures and you would have them get the backlash of, well, why didn't you react on the pitch to this showing of support? So I kind of get it that there hasn't been videos everywhere. I mean, I just think it's ridiculous to suggest they weren't on the bus. I think it's crazy.
Okay, I think a lot to do with on Sunday. I think the first half Tottenham wasn't too bad. I mean, I did say to you we had eight corners. I said, you watch, they get a corner and they score. And they got a corner. I got a corner from that corner and scored.
Yeah,
it was just inevitable. It's the way our season's going. But I think it was the subs. I think the subs Tudor made the second half killed the game.
Me too.
I really do.
Yeah, 100%.
And that just goes what you were just saying there about lose. That kind of, and this is why you can't let it affect us as a fan base at the moment. I've seen I saw Nicky Butt come out and say, well, maybe the fans put too much, and Tottenham fans have been in a lose situation all year. We're either the worst fan base because we boo the team, or we're the worst fan base because we support the team. Like, you can't let these things get to you, I don't think. So if you start reading into all that stuff, then you're never going to get anywhere. So I don't buy into any of that stuff, to be honest. And when people say, that maybe it put much pressure on the fans. Well, those same people would have been criticising if the atmosphere was bad. So you can't let those situations get to you, because otherwise, you won't get there. But what I've learned from this, and not just this situation, just the incident in general, is you're in a lose-lose situation. Whatever you do with some people, you're never going to be able to please everyone. So it's not going to deter in the message that we're going to try and support the boys to get out of this relegation battle.
Yeah. Big up to the 420 watching over on X. Please do share the stream, and to the 143 on YouTube as well. Please do smash a like and subscribe. Big up to Moondog, who says big up Kate and Jimbo, coming you Spurs. Always a big supporter. Danny Kiriakou has done a super chat saying, big up Danny, my issue is not that we had a parade. I understand that and why. My issue is, how can we get 15 to 20,000 fans for a parade when in this situation, but we can't get more than 200 for a protest. And he carried on and he put, we should do both, because the reason the fans are in this mess is because of how ENIC have treated this club. We should protest and parade simultaneously, which I understand that question completely, like that statement. But this was the whole point of this stream. If anything, it showed me that fans will always go like air towards the positive side, and there's a lot of negativity on YouTube. And I'm not talking about fans that have got different opinions to me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's a lot of like a divide in the fan base. We get called happy clappers all the time, and people like Saba get called negative all the time. And I don't know why there can't be somewhere in the middle. But I don't think the match-going fans necessarily feel the same way as the online fans. I mean, do you think that it could be that, like I say, people like to go to the football, have a day out, a bit of escapism from the family, the kids, whatever. So that's why they don't choose to protest. I mean, what's your thoughts on it, Billy?
I think you're exactly right there. I think a lot of those 25,000 people that were there, 20,000, 15,000, whatever you want to call it, a lot of them, you know, they go with their family, they watch the game and they go home. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean you're any more or less of a Tottenham fan than anyone on the internet or anything like that. It's just their experience of Tottenham is going to a match and watching it with their family, and that's fine. And this question is a really, really good question. It's something which, you know, as someone like myself that wants to, remove the owners and remove the owners of the football club, that's what the challenge we're up against is. And the problem is with my opinion that some people are dealing with online is you got those 20,000 people in that that greeted the bus, right? If there were 20,000 people for a protest against the owners would be almost forced to, like, because that would be an insane amount of numbers, and they were forced to act or do something. So rather than saying, oh, those 20,000 people are idiots for supporting them, they're not proper fans, they're not calling out the protest, I think our job has changed for Tottenham and anyone that wants to get the owners to actually, rather than try and go against them and say, why aren't you protesting, why aren't you doing this? It's actually to try and convince them to do protests. You know, it's actually kind of say, well, you might not be aware, but know that this has happened, and can we bring those people on our side? Because if we bring those 20,000 people against the owners are done. Like, that's job done. You know, so rather than, and you're talking about the negativity online, I completely agree. Rather than, I've seen lots of videos and lots of people online slagging them off, call them not, negative, or calling them stupid for trying to support the team, or calling it a parade and saying that why are they celebrating relegation? They're not celebrating relegation. They're just trying to support the team. And supporters, the clue is in the name. They want to support people. So rather than go against them, my personal opinion is we need to bring those people along with us on side. And you're not going to do that by slagging them off all the time and saying they're stupid. Or you're going to do that by having conversations with them and saying, look, I know that you want to support your team and will do, but if you really want to support your team long term, and you want to support a successful team, you need to understand what is happening with ownership and understanding that they're actually, they're doing this and this wrong, and they've constantly made bad decisions for 25 years now. So for me, the conversation is not, let's have a go at them and let's processing against the owners and stuff. It's how do we get those 25,000 people to join us? That's what I think Change for Tottenham are going to try and do, and anyone that I'd suggest that is trying to protest against the owners to try and do is, rather than go against those 20,000 people, think, how can we get them on our side?
Mm. Yeah, I completely agree. And someone said, who was it? It was just up here. I did put it. Warren said, Mike, football's entertainment. I want to watch my team playing and winning with a smile on their faces. Now, Jimbo, you and I are a bit like this, right? Because we live in Lincolnshire. When we come down to watch football, it costs us a fortune because we've got to travel, we have to organise staying over, because I've got fibromyalgia, so it's a real stressful thing. Last time I went, I had a panic attack. Thank God Nick was there because he drove us because I couldn't get on the train. And, it's a real kerfuffle for me to go. If I choose to go to watch the football, we normally make it a day out. Now, Jim was a season ticket holder for 25 years. He gave it up when we moved up here. So we do make the most of it. We might go to the shop and buy something. We have something to eat in the stadium. So for me, if I then go to a protest before, then go in and do all that, I feel hypocritical in myself. Well,
I said to you, Kate,
yeah,
look, no one's going to say anything to me to ever stop me buying Tottenham stuff And if I go in the ground and I'm hungry, I'm going to buy food, right?
Yeah.
I said to you, I would protest. If I was there and there was a protest, I would go to the protest.
Yeah.
I've said this
Jim,
to you before, but I will never let anyone make me feel bad for spending money there. You know, it's because for us when we go, it's quite a big deal.
yeah, exactly. But do you think there is that element of people maybe feel a bit hypocritical because they protest and then they go into the stadium? And I know a lot of people like don't spend any money in the ground, but I don't know. That's just how I feel personally. Do you think that's something that might be stopping people protesting?
Yeah, I think it's always a difficult decision for fans to make. Personally, I don't spend in the ground, but I have a season ticket, and you can argue that anyone that goes to a football match is in some way supporting the ownership. Like, you could make that argument. If you're going to make the same argument about, that people spend money in the stadium, you can make the same argument about people that buy a ticket. But it's a really, really difficult one for fans, because my personal opinion is I don't want to let anyone ever take Tottenham away from me, even if I hate the owners. I think boycotting the stadium is the strongest thing that you could possibly do. And I think if we had 15,000 people boycotting every single home game, or 20,000 people boycotting home games, it would make an exceptional statement. But at the same time, I don't want these owners to be able to take away Tottenham. Tottenham's been passed down to me from my grandparents, to my dad, to me, to my children, and it will be passed down to. I don't want these owners to take that away from me, and I'll never let them take them away from me, because long after they're gone and long before they were here, Tottenham still exists, and Tottenham will continue to exist. So I don't want anyone to have to take that away from me. So I can completely understand that it's a really difficult decision for fans, because at the end of the day, Tottenham is our life. And the sad thing is we're being run by people. Tottenham might not be their life. It doesn't seem like it is, because the decisions they make, they don't seem to have any empathy or care for the fans. They seem to hold the fans with consent, and that's why you see, we're charging ridiculous ticket prices. But I think it comes down to a personal decision. And personally, I never like to preach to Tottenham fans and how they should be, thinking about it. Because at the end of the day, Tottenham in our blood is much more important than, and much more long-lasting than any ownership is ever going to be. And we're going to be continuing to do this long after they're gone. So it's a really, really different, and I always feel this way with football. Fans are the ones which bear the brunt of everything. All the owners' bad decisions that they make, it's fans the ones that have to take it. If Tottenham get relegated, these people will still be billionaires. Tottenham fans will be the ones that have to live with the consequences of it. And that's why it's such a difficult fight to be in, because we're the only ones that are fighting for our football club. We're fighting against everything that we're fighting against, and we have to suffer the consequences of all the bad stuff of it.
Yeah.
The thing is, if we do go down, it will hurt them bad. So I mean, I said to Kate, look, I've kind of made peace with it, Billy, that we're going to be playing in the Championship next season, because I can't see anything from these players that tell me they're going to get us out of it. Right? I can't see anything right that says that we're going to stay up. So I've kind of made peace with going down, but I still love Tottenham as much as I love them like when we won the trophy, And the thing is I love Tottenham more than I hate the owners. So
yeah,
that's it. And the sad thing is, mate, is that if we do go down, a lot of these players will move on. They'll get another club. They'll be able to. Fans will not be able to move on. I mean, never would. And I think that's what you saw on Sunday, is that we'll always be loyal to our football team. And yeah, I know it will obviously cost them a little bit, financially and stuff, but it's fans that are going to have to bear the responsibility of it. Fans that are going to be the ones going into work and getting them ripped by their Arsenal mates and ripped by their Chelsea mates. And we're the ones that have to suffer the consequences of the bad decisions, and that's sadly always the way it's going to be with football.
I'm going to be honest with you, Billy. I am also one of these people who says, look, if it was my club and I'm a billionaire, I don't care who protests against me. I'm sitting there with a full stadium every week, and I'm only selling when I want to sell. And that's people that protest for change will tell me that's a really defeatist attitude, but that's just how I feel in the world. But do you think there is any sort of credence to protesting? Do you think there is a chance that we could force ENIC out?
I've always think that we just have to stand up for what we believe in at the end of the day. And I can see Danny in the chat saying are there plans for more protests? And there definitely will be. And change to Tottenham might not be about finding things to do in terms of protests on the ground. We're trying to look at new ways we can get to these ownership. And I think that is a real important question we have to deal with, is how much do these people even really care? Because ENIC and Levy had so much negative press the last 2-3 years. They had protests with thousands of people in the street last season. But at the end of the day, nothing really matters, because until they get the offer that they want, there's only so much we can do. You have seen examples in the past where protests caused change, and throughout history, and political events and sporting events, and you look to what happened with Yoga in the 90s and stuff. But the only way it's ever going to happen is if Tottenham come together in big numbers, and big numbers together. And that's why I can see the division in the fan base at the moment. Until that is, we all come together for the same cause, nothing's ever really going to change. So, and even if that does happen, there's still no guarantee that a billionaire is going to say, well, I'm going to sell my football club then. So it feels like an impossible fight sometimes, but if we give up, then we give up on our truth, and our truth is that we have to stand up for ourselves as a fan base. So, and again, obviously, some people suggest that got Levy out with the protest. You never know really sure what happened behind closed doors and why all that stuff happened. What I would say, and personally, I think this is my opinion, the best thing that change for Tottenham has achieved is that there's a lot of conversation about it in the media all the time now, at least. And it's on the news. When protests a couple of years last year, the Man United game, there were 2,000 people protesting. Every single Sky Sports News, Talk Sport newspaper was talking about Daniel Levy, and I imagine that they don't like that. You can never guarantee it, but I imagine that they don't like that. So there are ways of trying to get these people uncomfortable and trying to push the message out there. But I think until we unite the fan base in serious numbers against the ownership, then I don't think anything will change. And then the third thing is, and it's not defeatist, it's just reality. The fact is that billionaires don't care about normal people. That's just the way the world is. You can see it in any industry in the world. The top 3% of people could cure world hunger like that, but they don't. It's the same with football. They could sell up and move on at the click of a button. It wouldn't affect them one bit. But until we all join together, then that's what we're up against, really.
Yeah.
I said to Kate, I worked for a billionaire for over 20 years, Billy, and I said to Kate, he had advisors at the yin yang. But he always did what he wanted to do, no matter what they advised him.
That's how they get to be a billionaire in the first place, isn't it? That's how they get
Exactly. Vindaloo says, aren't these parades adding more pressure to a team already under pressure? Because it never stopped the fans leaving the stadium when you went 2-0 down. If you keep losing, isn't there a danger that these parades turn toxic?
I saw a couple of people say that, but again, what I would say to that is, if we didn't do that, then people would blame the fans not doing it. Do you know what I mean? We're in a lose-lose situation like we were talking about before. And for me, the pressure is the situation that these guys are in. If they feel pressure being 1 point above the relegation zone, then there's something wrong there. It's nothing to do with the fans. The fans have made it, I saw some people say, well, the fans made it like a cup final. Well, it is a cup final. We've got our life on the line at the moment. We've got 7 cup finals left. That's where the pressure is coming from. Nothing to do with the fans. Nothing to do with the people that are cheering us. The pressure is that you guys have got us into a relegation battle. That's the pressure. I don't believe that personally. I think the fans, these players should be feeling the pressure, because Tottenham's Premier League survivors on the line in every game now. We've got 7 games left to change. So that is from where the pressure comes from, not the fans.
Yeah.
And for me, it's an absolute miracle that it's still in our hands.
I know.
Yeah. Well, we haven't won a game. The next time we play a Premier League game will be in April, and we still haven't won a game in 2026. So, and we're still so above the relegation, mate.
Shocking. Lockman says, once Change for Tottenham cancelled their protest, they've lost all credibility. Now, I have heard that said, right? Which I don't agree with it. I've heard it said Change for Tottenham can't organise protests anymore because they celebrated relegation and gave ENIC a free pass. What do you say to people like that? I mean, is it just, again, another way of just trying to criticise what you did?
I can never, everything that we do seems to get some from some people. What I would suggest to that is, and this is the argument we're doing at the time, is if we'd have protested on Sunday and there were 20 people there today, is that going to lose a lot more credibility than cancel the protest in the first place for me? So it's about weighing up that. And I think, to be honest, Change for Tottenham seem to get more stick than ENIC at the moment from people that apparently want ENIC out, and that's just something you have to deal with when you put yourself above these people's above the the parapet to try and do something.
Yeah.
You're always going to get from people, and again, I always welcome suggestions, criticism, ideas. We'll take all the time just because it's the only you're always going to get it in these situations. And I think a lot of people now sticking the knife into Change for Tottenham. And again, what I always say to those people is, I'd love, good luck when your protests happen, and I'd look to support those, because, it's easy to say things online and moan about it in group chats. Doing stuff is much harder. And until you step up and do it, then good luck on moaning about it on WhatsApp all day is what I would say to those people. But doing is hard, and we will keep going. We're certainly not going to let any stick like that get to us. So you've got to keep going for these things, and anything you do in life attracts criticism of people. You're always going to have that. So it's about constructive criticism. We'll always take that on board and learn from it. And it wasn't an easy decision to cancel those protests. Change for Tottenham, everyone's angry with the board at the moment. Of course, we all are. But at the same time, Tottenham have found themselves in a really unique situation at the moment where we're fighting for our survival. And it's all just in response to that. And I think the fact that you saw the numbers that Sunday got versus the numbers at the protest in January, I think the decision, personally, that makes me feel like the decision was the right decision, because it seems like most people just want to support the team at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm probably going to be a bit controversial. Jim will probably say to me after, you shouldn't have said that. But I think a lot of the criticism for you comes from people that have tried protesting before and tried to make a difference and haven't had the traction that Change for Tottenham's got. And I think rather than going against one another, if everybody just came together, it would be a much more successful space, if you like.
That's it. That's completely it for me. I think, if we manage to get those, like I said at the beginning, if we manage to get those 25,000 people protesting with us, that's what's going to make the difference. So, we keep arguing and bickering online together, or we can come together and try and do something for the cause. So for me, I think it's much more a better use of energy would be, and I really appreciate people that send us suggestions. I can see a couple of really good suggestions in the chat on a couple of shows last week. People are always sending ideas, and for me, that's a much better use of energy than just criticizing people online, I think. We'll always take those things on board. I think you're completely right. It's about coming together. The only way we're ever going to achieve anything as a fan base is if we're together, not trying to create division and trying to support, coming together. And I think Sun is an example of that. You saw what happened, when you can come together as a fan base. So like I said, the big challenge for Change, and not just Change for Tottenham as well, this whole thing isn't just about Change for Tottenham. It's about anyone that supports the cause wanting to get the owners out. For me, the question has got to be, how do we get those 25,000 people to stand with us against us?
Yeah, and moving away from the parade, because I think we've killed it. I just wanted to get your thoughts on and get your side, really, because I've heard loads of people saying all sorts of things over the last few days, and me and Jimbo were well behind it from the off. And like I say, we watched it and was like, wow, we would have loved to have been there. It looked like it was brilliant, and it's just a shame the players couldn't get. I don't know if it's they couldn't get hyped up for it, or whether they're just not good enough, or whether they're tuned out. I don't know what it is, but I don't think that can be blamed.
Yeah, and you're completely right. And I did see someone say that the first time Everton did it, they lost as well. So we will be back. We will be back, for sure. And so we'll change with them, so we'll protest. And so, we got to come together.
I think anything positive at the minute for the fans is good. Because there's been so much crap this season. When we put the game on, I'm just expecting to lose now, Billy. I've never felt like that in all the years I've supported Tottenham. Even when we've had bad seasons, they've never been like this. This is just, to me, I just watch a game when the game starts, and I just think to myself, it's going to be another loss. And that's how they've got me. And I'm one of the most positive fans around. And for them to have got me like that, it has dragged me down so much. It's unbelievable.
I completely agree. And for me, the Crystal Palace game was a big turning point for me. I've always Although I always believed that relegation was a real possibility. I've always been worried about it, particularly this season. But the Crystal Palace game was when I thought, yeah, that's when I actually thought that we could be going down here. Like, this is genuine. Like, we're actually, the first time I thought we're actually going down. And then obviously we had a little bit of a fight back versus Liverpool and Atletico Madrid. But then the Forest game as well. Now, just to lose 3-0 to someone that you're in direct comparison with relegation, it's just really, really concerning. And like we said at the beginning, I don't think changing the manager is going to change much anymore. It just feels like these players are so used to losing now and losing game after game after game. And I look at the remaining fixtures and just try to see where the win's going to come from, And I really think at the end of the day, it might come down to 1 or 2 wins. But the problem is, where is that win going to come from at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are you? If I said to you now, do you think we're going down? What are you saying?
I think the only thing that's going to save us is how bad West Ham are, and just because they're struggling as well. I know their form's a bit better than ours. I think it's going to come down to if we can get 2 wins over the line. And I'm like you guys, a very positive fan of my core. I try to always be. So I'm just going to maybe get those 2 wins from somewhere. Brighton and Leeds at home. I mean, on a normal season, you look at those 2 games and think, surely we can beat Brighton and Leeds at home. But this season, you look at Brighton just beat Liverpool, Leeds, really tough to beat, resilient team. I think we might just do it, scrape out by the skin of our teeth, but that's only because I'm optimistic and that I'm praying for it rather than I think it's genuinely going to happen. I'm just absolutely praying that we somehow get out of it. But I'm not confident, but you have to believe it because I don't think you can give up.
I actually think we get something Sunderland away. I don't think we get anything at Brighton at home. I don't think we get anything Wolves away. I think we may get a point at Villa. I know this is probably completely deluded. And we get a win at Leeds at home. So that's like 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 points. Whether there's going to be enough, I don't know.
Sorry, buddy. We've been saying this for weeks now, Kate. I can't see a game there where we get anything. I can't at the minute. I mean, Wolves is away, and our record at Wolves is terrible.
Yeah.
Right? I maybe a point against Leeds. That's all I can see there. Sunderland's form at home is good. Brighton, maybe we get a point, maybe. Right? Wolves, if maybe a point. I don't see us getting anything at Villa. Leeds, maybe a win or a point. With Chelsea, we know what happens there. Honestly, it looks so dire to me. And if I saw some fight, I mean, when I watch West Ham, they fight. When I watch Leeds, they fight. Yeah, when I watch Forest the other day, they fight. I don't see no fight in this team. I have absolutely resigned myself, Billy. And Billy, I don't know if you know anything about me. I am so positive normally. It's unbelievable. But I cannot see watching this team, right, us staying up. I just can't. I just don't think they've got it in them.
Yeah, and I can see my best mate Darren in the chat there saying 4 wins. You wait and see. I'm like you, Jim. I always try and be positive about Spurs because I'm a natural optimist, and I think 5 or 6 points might be enough. I think it really might be. But I don't know if we even know we'll get that. I got a good feeling about and this is how much of an idiot I am sometimes. Even after the worst loss, after a couple of days, I start feeling optimistic again. I've got a feeling about that Sunderland game just because. I just kind of feel like their season is essentially over now because they've done the double over their rivals. They're going to be safe. They've had an amazing Premier League season. Whatever happens now, they're sorted. Done your double over your rivals. Hopefully, they always say about going on the beach, don't they? Hopefully, Sunderland are on the beach now because they've had an amazing against their rivals. That's all I'm hoping for. And
I think to be honest, Kate's been saying to me for weeks that's the game she thinks we'll win.
Yeah, Wolves. We're shocking against Wolves, aren't we? We're terrible against them. I'm not, and they look good under Roberts, much better than they were a few months ago. So yeah, I think Sunderland and Leeds are going to be the ones that we have to try and win. Hopefully, if we win 2 of them, might be enough.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham have got Wolves at home next. I expect them to win that.
The problem is that's before we play it as well. That's before us, so we could be in the bottom 3 by the time we play Sunderland.
I don't know why everyone's so confident. Wolves have really turned it on. They've started playing well. So I'm not so sure. I think maybe they'll get a point. But I don't think they'll turn Wolves over.
I mean,
I hope not.
Arsenal fans are already calling that if they've already won the league by then, they want Arsenal to throw the game and play the youth so that West Ham win that game. West Ham's running. They're a funny team, West Ham. You never really know what you're going to get, but when they're good, they do look well organised. So it's whether we can get more points than West Ham.
Yeah, and they drew against Man City the other day, didn't they?
Exactly.
So you never know. I mean, I'm just looking at that now, and the thing which terrifies me the most, I don't know about you guys, is if we got relegated against Chelsea on that second last game, that would just be horrific, wouldn't it? It's just absolutely terrifying. And the whole thing is terrifying. Like, we shouldn't be experiencing this as a fan base. Like, I go to sleep thinking about, well, what happens if we beat Brighton and lose to Wolves? And that's all that's on my mind at the moment. It's terrible as a fan. Like, we shouldn't be experiencing it. And that's, it's horrible, but that's the situation that we're in. So you just got to try and pray that something happens. And whoever the new manager is, like I said, I don't think the manager is going to make much difference at this point, because what can they do in 7 games? Like, we've seen Judah come in, make no difference at all, really, essentially. Some would argue made us worse. What can you do in 7 games, really? It's nothing, is it? It's like pre-season. So God knows what's going to happen. But you just got to try and pray that we get 2 wins, 3 wins from somewhere.
Yeah, what I said, Billy, I said to Kate, a lot of people are going to disagree with me here. Well, I can see I'm going to get bombarded already. I think the one person who could probably get us out of it is Ange Postecoglou, because I tell you why, right? Because he knows the players inside out. The players know him inside out. So he could come straight in, and it wouldn't be getting to know the players, and he could come straight in and maybe hit the ground running. And you saw with VDV in that interview, he said he was going to start playing a bit more pragmatic, and not be so gung ho. So I'm just thinking that maybe because they all know each other, he might be able to come in and hit the ground running.
Well, if we were in a pub now and not on an internet screen, I'd come and shake your hand, mate, because I think exactly the same. But everyone knows I'm a massive Ange fan. Always have been. Like, I've got an Ange tattoo. I got an Ange tattoo. So I think exactly the same. I do have an Ange tattoo.
What have you changed?
Of enjoy your lunch. It's quite. I got it on me after the Europa League final. So I completely agree.
Well, but mine says it's who we are, mate. Under the Europa League
I think I did exactly the same after we won. I think exactly the same. Someone who knows the players, and people say, well, he nearly got us relegated last time, which he didn't, by the way. We were 13 points clear of relegation. But you just got to treat these games as a cup final. And who you want in the cup final doing their speeches before every one of these 7 games? You want Ange. Yeah. I can't, and Ellie says, show me. I can't show you my tattoo, I'm afraid. It's in a very, it's on my leg. No one wants to see that.
Wow. I just don't. Yeah, that would really send the fan base into some sort of crazy meltdown. It
doesn't matter what it sends the fan base into, Kate. It doesn't matter. What matters is staying up.
Yeah,
that's what matters.
I think we need one of those Ange speeches before all of our 7 games now. I think that's the only thing we could save us. And he knows the players already. The players love him. And what he said about, I don't think he would go and try and play full Ange ball or anything like that anymore. Like he already said, he just put his arm around them, tell them they're all brilliant. And I think that I'd much rather have him than some of the names that were linked with. Trust me.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and someone just asked in the chat, would he come back? I think if they offered him another contract, right?
It wouldn't be a temporary. He'd only come back if he was given.
I think he would come back, and I think if we went down, he would stay with us as well.
And then if he keeps us up, then you've got to build the statue, right? You've got to build an Ange statue then. If he keeps us up and Europa League, that's when you build the statue.
Lovely Joanne is watching on X. She said, whereabouts is Ange? Is he on your
right bum? He's right on top of my thigh, not quite the other side.
Okay. He's not on your backside.
If he keeps us up, then that would be on the cards.
Yeah, the first thing Jim and I did when we won the Europa League is booked in and both got tattoos. You nearly got Ange's face on your arm, didn't you, Jim? At one point, I talked you out of it. Look, I'm at the stage where I try anything at all, because I really am concerned that this is it. I put it in my head that we're going down, and anything else is going to be a massive bonus. I don't know if you've seen the thing going around on Twitter at the moment. Apparently, they might even be getting players to be
player
I
managers at the
saw
moment.
that.
I was like, oh, God.
Madison or Romero or something they were saying. Oh, good God.
I mean, Burpee is going to end
Um,
up with a job at this rate, isn't he? Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, like you say, you expect Tudor to, obviously, he only buried his father yesterday, which is terrible for him. I mean, it kind of feels like we're all piling onto him, but I think mutual consent, he's going to have a lot on his mind. I think it's the best thing. But who do you want or see coming in? Do you think it's going to be De Zerbi, who signs a permanent with a clause about relegation? What do you see happening from here?
I would, if before Jim even said anything, I would have said Ange, but I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think they'd ever go back to him. And then I'm at a point where I honestly don't have an answer to that question. I just don't know. I just don't know. Hello, that's my mate Paddy, by the way. Hello to him.
We love Paddy.
I don't know what I love Paddy. What a man. And good luck tonight, mate.
Yeah,
Watching Troy Parrott tonight for sure. A lot of Spurs fans will be. I don't know the answer because obviously we're linked with this Eddie Hooter. I have no clue about. For me, that would be a massive red flag just because I don't want someone that doesn't know the Premier League again. That'd be a huge red flag to me. We seem to be linked with every single Spurs player on this. So Gus Poyet, Klinsmann, Knapp, and all these people. I don't know what the answer is. And obviously as we were talking about right at the very beginning of the show, I don't want De Zerbi just because I think I want Poch in summer. I think that's the only way we can get out of this mess as a fan base at the moment is by getting someone back who will unite everyone. So we don't want De Zerbi, and I don't know what's left. I really don't. I mean, Ryan Mason there seems to be no links to him anymore. Don't know what the answer is. I really don't. But what I do know is whoever it comes in, there's not much to be able to do now. It's just think it's going to come down to those players on the pitch now, whatever happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think I did hear from someone who told us that their source has said that Poch could be coming back earlier than we think.
I saw Casey Keller say that today, didn't he? To Valley Gold as well. So please,
who knows? He would be my choice, and I think he demands respect as well. Pochettino. He might not have won anything with us, but I still think he demands that level of respect that we need.
Me too.
But we shall have to wait and see. I can't believe.
I think the problem with Redknapp is he's not managed for so long, has he? He's not managed decades.
Yeah, he's old as well.
Been so long out the game. I think he's exactly the kind of character that we need. We need some confidence. They're so obviously lacking confidence, but just no. Don't know.
He's 78 as well. I mean, they were saying on TalkSport the players won't know who he is, and I said to Jim, they will. They'll be going, he's that geezer if I'm a celebrity. They won't remember him in football. It'll be sort of that stage after. And I mean, a lot of these people like Glenn Hoddle or even Chris Hugh and all these people getting thrown around, they're not in management, and they haven't been in management recent enough for me. And
the game has changed so much in 10 years as well. Like from when Redknapp was managing, like 20 years ago, sorry. Even in the last 5 years, the game's changed a lot. You got all of the, this Guardiola style and pressing and counter pressing. It's such a tactical game now. It's like it's almost you have to be a coach rather than a manager these days. And Redknapp's definitely more of a manager than a coach, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know anything about Adolf Hütter, except Sean does a really good impression of him. That's about as much as I know.
I thought Sean was our manager than him, I think, though, to be honest, because at least he knows the club.
You're taking a massive risk if you bring in someone like that. Like you say, no Premier League experience.
We tried it once, didn't we, with Tudor? It didn't work, so you can't do it again.
Yeah, surely they won't do it again after Tudor.
The thing is with Tudor as well, was starting to come round to him, and I thought I like the way he dealt with the press, and I thought maybe the players had bought into it. And then we watched the Forest game; it was like, no, something's not right. But was his dad ill? I don't know whether he had what's going on. Yeah,
and you forget that these people are humans at the end of the day, aren't they? And everyone is affected by things. But for me, what Jim said earlier is completely right. I think he got those subs so wrong, didn't he? And it ended up costing us. And I also think he got the team wrong. Like you can't go 2 seconds against Forest when they've got Gibbs White, Anderson, and Sangare, 3 amazing midfielders. And tactically, it was all wrong. And to be honest, I know people have blamed all kinds of things for the result on Sunday about the pressure and all this, but I think it just came down to we got it massively wrong tactically, to be honest.
How long have you been a season ticket holder for, Billy?
I've been going to Tottenham for 30 plus years now, but season ticket holder because I'm originally from the Midlands. I managed to get my first season ticket since Wembley. That's when I first got it, and then ever since.
Oh, okay.
Not long. I've always been going to, but my season ticket is from Wembley onwards. So loads.
Oh, okay. Well, we're East Midlands now because we're in Lincoln, but I just wonder what you thought of the new stadium compared to White Hart Lane, because it's such a different experience now.
And luckily the season before I moved White Hart Lane, I managed to go to every home game. That's when I first moved to London. I managed to go to all the home games that season, and that was up the Midlands as well to find my friends. And that was the first season that I managed to go to every single home game, and the best football experience of my life by a long way. That season when we were unbeaten at the White Hart, the last season at White Hart Lane, beating Arsenal there, beating Man United there, beating Chelsea there, having the last day at White Hart Lane. That's something that I'll never ever forget that. And that stadium was just very, very special. Even as a kid, I remember going there. It was just very special. In my life, my favourite player of all time is always going to be Aaron Lennon, just because I just remember when he used to get the ball and everyone used to stand up at White Hart Lane and you could hear all the seats moving and stuff. And that was really special. And I think I understand why we have to go to the new stadium. You have to do it to get the new venue, but we were told it was going to be a game-changing stadium, but the game has not changed. We've got the stadium of a big club, but we don't act like one. So
yeah,
it was even worth giving up White Hart Lane before, because we were in a title race that season and the season before at White Hart Lane. We haven't been in a title race in this new stadium, so I think we were sold a dream there that's not worked out, and so I'd go back to White Hart Lane in a heartbeat if we could, just because I think teams would have hated coming there. They would have hated it. Yeah. And now it's almost like teams, and now it's almost like teams show up for a big day out. The fans love it. The team normally wins and get to go. I think every Premier League team has won at the new ground now that we played there. So it's not intimidating as it used to be. It's not it's not a difficult place to go. The only people that find it a difficult place to go at the moment is Tottenham, isn't it? So we
did that when we was at Wembley. But I mean, Jimbo and I met at White Hart Lane, so it's always going to be special to us. But it's funny you saying Aaron Lennon was your favourite. My son, he's nearly 20 and he's not into football at all. But when he was little, he used to have all the kits. He used to watch it, and his favourite player was Aaron Lennon. And his first ever kiddy that we bought him, he called him Lennon, and that was why he loved Aaron Lennon.
Yeah, he was just a special player. And what I worry about now is we just don't, now that Kane and Son have gone, we just don't really have those. Who have we got in this team that's like that? Who have we got at this team that a young kid, a 10-year-old is going to think that's my hero for life? I'll name all my stuff. I'll name my dog after that and everything. There's just we've been stripped to that. For me, a real sad thing about this season is the two players you would say are like that, Maddison and Kulusevski, haven't seen all season. And I think if we'd had just one of those two players back, for God's sake, I don't think we'd be in the mess that we're in. I really miss both of those players so badly.
Do you think there's an argument that we're getting these injuries because of something to do with the ground?
I saw that. I did see that. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we're just cursed, to be honest. But I see Real Madrid have got a similar pitch to us, don't they? And they have a lot of ACL injuries. It can't be a coincidence anymore, because we've had 2 or 3 different medical teams now since this whole thing started, and we're still getting the injuries. So, there must be something in there somewhere. And whoever finds it, that'll be just because we've got different manager now, or 3 different managers, 3 different medical teams, different players, but we're still getting injury after injury after injury. There must be something going on somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. We did do a poll at the start of the show saying, were you behind the show of support on Sunday? 45% said absolutely. No said 35%, and didn't care either way said 20%. So it started off and it was a massive swing towards nope, but we got the majority, 113 people voted, and the majority were behind it, which I think is encouraging. I think obviously if you did this poll on certain different channels, you'd get different results. But I personally was behind it. Now we've only got 7 games left. I'm assuming you won't protest during those 7 games, or is there plans, or not 7, because obviously they're not all at home. Are there plans to do anything over that time?
Yeah, there are definitely plans. So obviously, again, I have to separate the two. Change for Tottenham and the bus separate things, and Change Tottenham are not involved in this thing. It's just an independent group of fans, so they're not similar. Change Tottenham are definitely planning to do some different things, and what I think, and again, I'm only a member of Change Tottenham. I don't speak for the group or anything like that. But what I think the intention is to start protesting again when the relegation thing is decided either way, and if that's the last game of the season, it's the last game of the season. Hopefully we'll get 3 wins and then we can move on, because then we'll be safe, hopefully, but who knows when that's going to be. So I think that's the intention, but we're also trying to find other ways of getting the message out there. We've got some things that are going on behind the scenes at the moment that people will see. I think sometimes it's about sending messages on the internet or sending messages in other ways, or be creative and sending messages. People have spoken about balloons I see in the chat, which I think is really effective. So things are definitely going to happen before the end of the season. And I think one thing I do think is for sure is that once the chips are down and we either stay up or we don't, that's the time for everyone to come together and get protest against these owners, because the season is unforgivable. I don't think there can be anyone left that's now thinking that ENIC are the ones to take us forward after what we've seen this season. So I hope it's the time for everyone to come together.
Yeah, I agree. And is there, if people do want to get, sorry, Jim, go on, you say your bit before I can.
I was going to say, you won't forget, will you?
No, I won't forget. I'm going to write it down.
I just think to myself, if we go down, then we're going to be stuck with these owners even longer, because I think if we go down, Billy, I don't think they'll sell.
No way. And people say, well, if we go down, they will sell. But for my opinion, my thing about that is, if you have a house that's worth 3 million, and then something happens and suddenly that house is worth $1.5 million, you're not going to sell it for $1.5 million higher. You're going to wait till it's worth 3 million again. So that's we could be stuck for longer. So everyone, please pray that we stay up. Get them for longer.
Exactly. If people want to get involved in Change for Tottenham, or if they've got any ideas or just want to be a part of it, is there a way they can get in touch with you or people from the group?
Yeah. Change for Spurs on Twitter is DMs always open. My DMs are open to anyone as well. Always happy to have a chat. And I think what's the best thing about this, and whether you agree with whatever you agree with, the best way you can have your energy is just having conversations with people, because that's how things change, isn't it? So we're always open to ideas and always open to constructive conversations. And I think the hatred and stuff like that is where that's what's going to end up costing the movement. So always open for people to get ideas. We get loads of amazing people from all over the world message and say what we do our bit, and that's amazing. And it's the same with the support as well. People want to support. We have people messaging us the weekend from saying that I'm in America, what can I do to get behind the players and stuff, and that. And I think all these conversations are always good. So my DMs are always open. Change for Spurs' DMs are always open. I'm always happy to come on shows like this and just love talking about Tottenham with like-minded people, really. So I'm always up for it. And I know people get stick and give stick, but I'm never going to shy away from stuff like that. So always happy to face it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It was interesting because, like I say, we've never really gone one way or the other. I've always found, from being on YouTube nearly 3 years, I always felt that there was this big sort of, I'm going to put it like a playground, that there was like a gang of staunch ENIC outers, and if you didn't agree with them, you were out the gang and you were a bad fan. And I just feel like Change for Tottenham is it is working to bring people together, and I think people have got to realise that the parade, the show of support, whatever you want to call it, was done with really good intentions. And I honestly, if I'm speaking to you, if I'm reading the chat, I literally don't understand why there was such an uproar about it. I honestly don't. Like I say, you can be ENIC out but still want to support the players. It's bonkers for me. But it's been really interesting to hear, what's going on, and we're trying. I'm more on here.
And I really appreciate that. And I'm friends with a lot of it. I love that. And I understand why people are so angry at the club. I really do. I understand why some people feel that strongly about the ownership that they think, well, it's got to protest. And I'll never, I never validate that, because the anger is in we want the same thing at the end of the day. I love those guys, and I know that some people have been standing at the club shop for years, and I always respect those people, and I'm good friends with a lot of those people. But I think we've got to all come together to do something about this rather than divide each other. So I'll always try and bring those people all together, and I will listen to those people, listen to the people that want this, and I really appreciate coming on the show, because it's been a really lovely chat with you guys, and hopefully be the first of many.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Jim, anything you want to ask Billy or talk about before we finish up?
No, I was just going to say we're lucky. We're very lucky, Billy. We got the people who support us in here. We got some good people. There's not many
Yeah,
bad.
no,
There's not many bad eggs coming here. That's for sure.
but we've had
Yeah, and
people
that's
coming today who don't like what you did and some that do, but everyone's been respectful. And that's all I wanted, just everyone to just, anyone can disagree with me or you, but as long as you're respectful about it, it's fine.
That's it. And it's just at the end of the day, whatever side of wherever you fall, we all want the same thing, and that's Tottenham to do well. So that's we've always got to remember that we're all fighting the same fight at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. Well,
I,
all
I was just going to say. I was going to say to Billy the over the last so many years, the recruitment of this club has been so bad.
Oh, it's just been unbelievable, hasn't it?
It's been terrible. I mean, I this is where you know that ENIC know nothing about football because they've employed people to do jobs that haven't been doing the jobs, and yet they still employ them. And if they give it to them, they bring someone in who's just as bad. I mean, it's an absolute shambles.
That's it, and that's why I think, obviously, I imagine the first thing that will happen in summer is that hopefully Langer and Vinay will lose their jobs. But then, as you say, Jim, do you trust ENIC to bring in two people that are going to get it right? I don't at the moment. So we're almost like in an air cycle, aren't we?
Exactly. Yeah. Obviously, you've got a YouTube channel with Connor, who we watched earlier on with Sean. He's very clued up on the finance things. That baffles my brain. I've never been.
Me too. That's why I do it with him. That's why I do it with him. So
at school, I was always good at the English and the writing, but maths and stuff, no. What have you got planned coming up on your channel?
We're gonna. I think Connor. This is more Connor's area of expertise than mine, but I think the finance data is out next week, so I think we'll be going into that for sure, and having a look. And I know a lot of people are asking the question at the moment, and again, this is where I go Connor, not me, because I'm useless with me, as you say, but I think we're going to have a look at, what is going to be the actual cost if Spurs do get relegated, because lots of different people have got different opinions. I've seen some people say 250 million, some people say 350 million. So hopefully we're going to have a look at that in the next couple of days and see. And obviously, as I'm sure you guys as well, I imagine we're going to have a new manager to talk about in the next few days. So we'll see what happens with that too.
One thing about Spurs, it's never short of content. There's always something you can talk about. When I started the channel before Jimbo jumped on, I never really had a clue just how much content Spurs would provide. But Daniela says, I'm going to piss you off. I just had a wonderful chat with the lovely Steve Perryman and his wife at Paddington Station. Lovely man. He is a lovely man. Adolf in.
I mean, who would have thought a few weeks ago we'd be saying Adolf in on the channel and people would know what it means.
I thought it was a joke. I literally didn't think it was real because I'd never heard of him. I thought it was a joke, but Tottenham are the king of memes. You can just make memes up about Tottenham constantly.
And that's one thing I will say about relegation battle is you can never predict this football club. You never know what Tottenham are going to do next. So everyone's thinking we're going to lose every game to the end of the season. We could go and win at Chelsea. That's the kind of thing that this football club does. You just never know what's coming around the corner with these guys.
Yeah, that's so true. We do have a good community for the most part. I think we've got the Tottenham community is brilliant. We've made some amazing friends. I think it's now a time to stop the division and try and sort of come together to get the goal. People will say it's easy for you to say you don't go, but that's because of health reasons. But next time we go to a game, we haven't been to one this season. If there's a protest, we will come along and join in.
I'd love to have a drink with you guys as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, and see what it's all about. So it might even be at Lincoln away. You never know.
You might have a house party around yours.
Exactly. Make sure everyone goes over, does sub to Billy and Connor over at the Whistle Blows. Massive thank you to Billy for coming on. It's been really good to hear your side. Like I say, first time we've really spoke to anyone who does this sort of thing. So it's really interesting. And you were brave, really, because you have faced a lot of backlash from it. But
that's it. I've also met a load of amazing people. I can see Ellie in the chat there. The best thing about it is you get to meet other Spurs fans. So that you're always going to get, like anything you're doing, you're always going to get stick. Some ways it's always about the positives. I'm like you too. I'm trying to be a positive person. So never let.
Let's be fair. Life is tough. If we can
And you know what? The thing is, if we go down, we're still Spurs.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We just dust
In some
ourselves
ways,
down.
talk about Preston and all that stuff, and Wrexham
Yeah.
and Lincoln. I've seen someone say they might even be playing Stevenage next year, mightn't they? They're in the playoffs, so.
Wow. There we go. Billy, thank you again so much for your time.
thank
really, really appreciate
thanks.
it. I'm sure it won't be the last time we see you, and you can
Hope
keep
not.
us up to date with what's going on at Change for Tottenham, and we'll always push it out on the channel without any doubt. Massive thank you to everyone that's watched. We've had nearly 800 watching on X today, which is phenomenal. And everyone at YouTube, do smash a like, subscribe, and do go over to Billy and Connor's channel. We will be back soon.
Tomorrow.
I don't know.
We're back tomorrow on Sean's show.
Oh yeah, we're on Shawnee's channel tomorrow at 1 o'clock.
Oh,
over
I'll
on
definitely.
Spurs
I'm definitely. Which one are you on? Which one are you on tomorrow?
Spurs Talk Show.
Nice. I'll be on. I'll make sure to tune into that one for sure.
Yeah, so it's always good fun going on with Shawn.
I don't know if Danny in the chat there. I don't know if Harry Kane's going to make an appearance tomorrow.
Oh, he might do. Oh God. Do you know what? I've got to be honest. Sean and Johnny's show the other day, where Sean went through a repertoire of characters. I nearly wet myself watching it.
I know.
I was sat in the setting. I couldn't breathe.
I don't know how this man manages to survive some of those impressions, but if anyone can, it's Sean, isn't it? So
Yeah, and you know the instigator of all that was Danny Kiriakou.
Yeah, it's
yeah, of course
fault.
it was. It's always Danny. It's always Danny.
It's always Danny. Listen, thank you again, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Billy. Enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, we'll see you on Spurs Talk Show tomorrow. And as always,
come on, you Spurs!
come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
I'm watching football on YouTube with Kate and Jimbo. We got good vibes going on in the studio. On my fantasy team is just me and you. And the wheels fall off and you crash right through. Then you wonder why you never win. You know it wasn't them. You know it was Jimbo. Come on down to Kate and Jimbo, we're getting funky. Let's go. Come on down to Kate and Jimbo.